I know Robert was having some fun with this software validation, trying to figure out what is the most current version, what's the version that's ready to be used for this. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, so you get to a new place, all new radios, all new stuff, and you're used to working on 150s, and the times have finally caught up to now we're 160s. We're using a lot more advanced stuff, and my brain's stuck in the past. So before you dive into something like this, you need to know what the heck is going on. A lot of people have issues saying, "Hey, I can't open the file. I can't do this." You got to update to the newest version of whatever we're using. Go on the Harris Premier website, get an account, download the newest software, get it up and going, and make sure it works, and make sure you can get the software loaded into your radio. Another thing, we're going to keep in mind what we can and cannot say, but the different platforms have different capabilities. I know in the plan I'm going to struggle with a 150 versus the people that have 160s because the plan's just made for them. The plan is not made for me. I'm going to be able to get into it, but I'm gonna have to do a lot more planning because I'm going to have to contact the people that will be operating in a certain mode, that will be on at certain times, and that will attempt to make contact with me. Because if my plan's taking up users that are never going to hop on that mode or try and make contact with me, it's going to be hard. Um, so I just downloaded all the new software. I just got it on my computer. Now I got to make sure that my radio is up to the proper firmware. So CCOM Lars is going to be coming by. He's going to be helping me out. We're gonna try and do all that. But competitions like this, it's a forcing function to make you modernize to do all this stuff. But we leave it in the closet for so long that when it's time to come out, it's very painful. Now that being said, the first time is usually the hardest. Every time after that gets significantly easier because you know your equipment now, you know what version you're on, you know how to bring it up and what problems render what. So that's going to be my struggle over the next week is getting my radios connected. I don't know how to do all the IP based stuff, so that's gonna be a fun thing to tackle. Um, using any sort of uh, our multiple digital communications platforms that we have, our mapping software, um, whatever version of that we're using. I know Mike had to walk me through getting onto a server on my Android, and that was a little difficult. So we're working through it. I think that software validation is a huge thing you have to tackle well before you even get into this.
So you briefly mentioned a good point on radio firmware. Software validation isn't just making sure the programs on the computer side of stuff are up to date. You got to make sure the radio is actually up to date to operate with that. And it could be you might have the newest computer program out there, but if the radio isn't up to date to operate with that, you're just going to have a hell of a time. Callahan?
Yeah, no problems here. If the plan works, the plan works. Everyone I have talked to over the course of the last, I'd say, 4 years, when it comes to military HF, is everyone seems to have trouble getting the computer talking to the radio. All right. Harris has quite a few things out there that has different versions and so on and so forth. So every version has a unique little way of getting the dang thing to talk to itself. So running through those little bit of quirks, whatever setup you have, it's a significant emotional event for your first time. But after that, it goes pretty smooth, and you kind of find out which version works the best for you. So. Just food for thought out there.
And that actually kind of brings up a good point. The latest version may not work for you. You might have to roll back to a previous version.
Because I mean, y'all covered everything. The guard guys side of the house, like things move even slower than active duty. Just make sure if you can try to find a way to update your radios, check your firmware. I know at least in my unit, half the radios are antiquated in firmware version. Another half is at the current where it's at right now that I can operate on Harris software to do digital communications in my 150s. So again, just check your stuff. Go into your radio settings and manually check it. In my experience for guard dudes, it's so much easier. Win 10, get a Windows 10 machine and go through all of the stuff. If you don't have that option, then you're gonna be fighting for a very long time.
Yeah, and like we see it amateur side all the time too. Oh, I can't get my radio to connect with this program. Is it the latest version? No. Well, there's your problem.
I'll throw a couple things out. So when Cody said it's troubling to try to get the computer to talk to the radio, it is hard the first time. It also doesn't mean it's going to work the next time you plug it in. I don't think that's a problem that we're the only ones that deal with it. But every time we plug the computer in to try to do TAC chat, even if it worked 10 minutes ago, it's not going to work this time, and you still have to troubleshoot. So you'll get good at it. And then one thing I was trying to figure out last year, and we just couldn't figure it out, is how to export the addresses from TACChat IP and then edit the address list in a CSV and then re-import it. We figured it out right before we went home on Friday. So if anyone wants that information, I don't know if I can share it here, but I can definitely email you and I can tell you how to do it.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely keep that over the .mil emails just to be on the safe side of stuff. And yeah, that's a good point about it may have worked 2 minutes ago, but you unplugged it, plugged it back in. Ports. I see it all the time on the amateur side of stuff. If I plug into a different USB port, half the time I have to select a different COM port in the software I'm using.
So one thing that I'm planning on doing, just because I'm working with 150s, is I'm probably going to have 2 or 3 radios loaded with different plans. That's just how I have to roll. The unfortunate part is that each one of those radios is going to have a different plan, and I only have one laptop. So making sure that the plug and play for each one of those things is going to be something that I'm definitely going to do today, tomorrow, or the next, but not on the day of. So that's just how I'm going to have to roll.
So maybe tagging a reference sheet to each radio with notes on what's made it happy. All right, finishing up that, we'll move on to the TOC layout. Rob and Cody have both mentioned it. Antenna crowding, even operator crowding. You got to figure out what sort of setup's going to work for your radios, your operators, and I think it's been mentioned before, even having someone not operating but acting as sort of a coordinator between frequencies. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this kind of sums up everything we talked about. You know, like it culminates down to how you're actually going to operate it and what your layout is. Big thing that I had to do was you really got to map it out. What are your azimuths you need to shoot on? Who are you trying to talk to? That's where your antennas need to be oriented. Having a chief that takes care of everything, not like a literal chief, but the one guy who takes care of stuff and goes around to each station and say, hey, are you logging this contact? Hey, are you, on this frequency? I want you guys to switch frequencies because the time of day is shifting and we might have better NIVIS on this one than that one. You need someone managing it, but really draw out your floor plan and see, when we talk about all these things, where's my coax going to be running? Do I have enough lines? Where's my power going to be? Do I have enough plugs? Do I have enough batteries? All this stuff just kind of, it sums up here.
Exactly what Rob said. Because we've ran a few mill contests with each other, both inside and outside of a building. So that's something that we took to heart there. We spent a lot of extra time making sure an inside building works. So our inside shack or inside operating room. But it had its disadvantages too. We always had to go outside and fix our antennas. We didn't know which one sometimes we were operating on. So I will say that if you are outside, do have a secondary position that you can get your TOC setup going to. Weather will always be the ultimate factor when operating out there. So get extra crayons to make sure that you can write when your computer goes down, and just get ready to make contacts. But ultimately, have yourself set up so that stuff can flow very well, right? Equipment on the table or a notepad on your knee. It depends on what was working for you. And don't get stuck in your ways for the first way you're setting up. Right? Be flexible and semper gumby.
Yeah, Jared, it's a little bit different operating in Florida than it is upstate New York.
I mean, I won't disagree with that. I have a sunburn right now.
There's this white stuff that shows up called snow and just likes to screw everything.
All I'm hearing
Okay,
is you have a really
Matt,
good ground plane.
It's
Matt,
definitely
you had
different.
something?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that you can have, and it's already been kind of hit on already, with kind of having a kind of chief of coordinating the different radios. If you have multiple units on the same installation that are going to be operating, make sure you coordinate with each other. I know one of the first kind of things we did up at Fort Drum, we were kind of almost competing with a Air Force unit that was on Fort Drum as well, and we were kind of stepping on each other. So communication is key, not only amongst your team that you're going to be doing your competition with, but other units on that base, and just keeping those lines open so that you're not stepping on each other, you're not interfering with each other, and shoot, maybe even help each other, like we did moving forward on the drum competitions. Moving after that first one, we actually worked together with the Air Force, and it helped us out with manning, being able to do 24-hour operations, and different things like that.
Yeah, definitely good points there. I'm gonna do a tiny backpedal here on coax that kind of goes along with your TOC layout, inside versus out. If you have to run coax through a window and you actually need some sort of weather seal because it's cold as hell or hot as hell, grab some of that foam tubular pipe insulation from a hardware store and just cut a slit in it, shove your coax through there. That's what I ran for a while at home, and it works great. You can cut it to length to fit your windows. Any other key points on TOC layout and general ops?
I'll do one more on TOC layout. One of those pictures I posted in the chat is our setup from Noble Skywave. This last one that happened. You'll see the tables are like right against the wall of the tent. What you don't see is behind us, there's a big whiteboard that says this is who we've talked to and this is who we haven't. So we could reference that because there was 2 radios running. So that was hard to do because ergonomically you had to turn around every time you heard someone call and then turn back to the radio. So what we've done is we've taken the tables this year and we've put them more in the center of the tent, and then there's a whiteboard in front of them so that the 2 operators can actually tell back and forth if they need to talk to that person or not. So that's what we've done this year to modify ours from previous years.
That's a good point. Yeah, making anything you're using as convenient as possible to use will make it easier to use. And it was brought up in the chat to use tags on the antenna cables. Cody mentioned not knowing which antenna they were on. Just grab a piece of duct tape, painter's tape, whatever, slap it around that coax, quick Sharpie label on it. Hey, this is the OE254 that's out there. It'll really cut down on confusion, maybe save some trips in and out. Cody, do you have anything to add on that, or do you like that idea?
No, I love that idea. In fact, I do it at the house, and all I have is 2 antennas. So, I mean, and a switch, so it works that way. But I will say this: I can't talk too much about it, but one of the exchanges during QRPX is authentication, right? A coded message. All right, take time, learn how to do the authentication side of the house. Read the authentication table, understand it, and actually practice it a little bit if you can among someone else, and make sure it's actually making sense. All right, there's 2 sides to it that you need to understand in order to pass the message. So that's the simple side. Do it today, tomorrow, or the next, not the morning of. That's all I got.
Try and practice with someone who actually knows how to do it too. Otherwise, you might just be teaching yourself the wrong ways to do it.
Yeah, as a guard dude, you're gonna be by yourself. I think the TOC setup is gonna be your biggest discourager. If you don't have anything set up and have everything within your arm's reach, constantly getting up, checking your antenna, going back to your little hidey hole, it gets really old really fast as an individual dude. So just take the time to set up your antenna first, and then set up your TOC, and just try to stop going between the 2 as much as you can. especially as an individual guy, because it is painful being a solo operator out there in military competition.
This is mostly for the recording sense. We're saying this not because we're just a bunch of dudes that want to sound like we're important, but I know Jared and his team down at JSE, they've already won a QRPX. I know myself, Cody, Matt, up at 10th Mountain, we won the low power Noble Skywave. So like we've done this enough times. Rob has been on his own on a mountaintop, operating year after year with the Georgia National Guard. So like we're out there, we're getting it, and we know all the mistakes, and we want to help everyone coach you through this. So we're gonna wrap it up on this, but just know that this entire week we're gonna be on here on the Discord, Flag and Torch Society, and we're gonna be coaching each other through this whole thing because I think we're some of the best communicators, and we'll be sure to make contact and be on the air. That's all I got for this. And we'll just go to Ragchu after this.